did want to point out that historically we've used a 10% increase on health and welfare as, in our budget assumptions. This year we got rates much earlier than we have in the past, and so we were able to incorporate actual rates into the budget. We're pleased to report that we have a 0% increase in our Kaiser rate, which is about 87% of our members. We do have a 15 to 20% increase on our Blue Cross HMO PPO. However, that's currently in negotiations. That plan may and most likely will change. So any savings as a result of that will just be in a debalance. We also assume no opt-out, but this region has many members that participate in the opt-out of medical benefits. So if that's negotiated again this year, that'll also be a savings that we'll see throughout the year. Again, the paid statutory rates, just one note, the PERS rate did come out a little bit higher, as you're all aware. That was reported after these budgets were developed. Indirect cost is going down to 8.6%. Overall, the budgeted expenditures across all programs is $32.1 million. We have offsetting revenue of $7.2 million, which is primarily your LCFF revenue transfer and miscellaneous grants and entitlements for an excess cost of $24.8 million. Listed for you there as well as the certificated and classified FTE that are included in this budget. And then the bottom portion of the summary sheet highlights the proposed 16-17 rate in comparison to the 15-16 rate. I just did want to remind everyone the primary increase in the STC rate is a result of no longer using one-time money to prepay and buy that rate down. Any questions?
I get a motion for the 2016-17 fee-for-service rate. Thank you. And any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 9, we have the X-Pop contribution rate, and Ms. Rita-Lou on that.
Thank you. It was just mentioned that the fee for service for behavior intervention hasn't gone up. The XSpot is a different story. E9 shows that for 0708, it was $22.50, $22.50. Today it's $30.45. The XSpot is just a litigation fund. I know Ms. Kelly has asked repeatedly for an item to discuss this. Maybe it happened at one of the meetings that I didn't attend, but I have yet to hear a robust discussion on the XSpot. It's just become a litigation fund. It's being used to litigate rather than educate, and districts that want to do the right thing, such as OMSD, have had to take it upon themselves to pay for these services, so they're paying twice for no good reason. And the taxpayers are paying twice. We're paying into the XSpot to get litigated against to deny services, and districts that want to do the right thing, like OMSD, and I have been at those board meetings where the items are on the agenda to approve IEEs, and I have testified to their board. Why are you having to fund IEEs when there's a process for that at the CELBA? So districts are paying twice, the taxpayers are paying twice, and this is really a misuse of public funds because this agency is not administering its funds in the best interest of children with disabilities. Instead, it is trying to silence voices of opposition, and we're trying to come in and work with you to fix some of these problems, to address these issues, but they're not being addressed, they're being ignored. So districts are struggling. We see declining enrollment. It was in the previous pages. where some of the smaller districts are seeing drastic decreases in ADA. And it's because the word is getting out that special education in the West End is really broken. This system is really broken. Thank you.
Thank you. Up for your approval is a expot rate of $30.75 for 2016-17. This is 30 cents higher than the current year expot rate. If you want to flip to the page after the narrative, I just want to point out a couple of things. Starting with the last three rows of all three columns. Specifically, the amount to be covered by the expot contribution for 16-17 is actually lower than 15-16, but because of the decline in ADA, the rate is higher. So that's the only thing I wanted to point out. Were there any questions on it?
Thanks, Tim. The variance on the third column, in particular under expenses, second to last line, contracted services, it looks like an increase of $112,000. Is that, what's driving that assumption? Potential, I guess, what contracted services are driving that?
Those are mostly legal and parent reimbursements, as well as a small portion of non-public school expense.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can we get a motion for the export contribution rate? Approval? And any further discussion?
Yes, I just like
Yes.
record in the record that Upland is opposed to the structure, and we'll be voting no.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to number 10, 2016-17 Superintendent's Council meeting dates.
On E10, you have the proposed dates for next year, and so if these are approved today, then we will go ahead and calendar them.
Okay, I hear a motion on these dates.
Move to approve.
Second? Second. All in favor, or any discussion? No? Okay. All in favor? Did you have a discussion? Okay. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Yes.
I just wanted to point out, next year, we're going to do just what we're going to do this year, and it's just a reminder that we will meet at 9 o'clock before the next Superintendent's Council meeting to do the required annual service plan and budget plan hearing.
All right, item F, are there any council members report? No. Moving on to future agenda items, I have public comments. Mr. Palmer?
You have to leave.
Okay. Ms. Martina Ortega?
Thank you. For future agenda items, I would like you to utilize the parking lot. Use it at least some of the times, at least to answer our questions. Also, I'm requesting maybe a microphone for everybody so we could hear, because it's really hard to hear when other members are speaking, other superintendents are speaking. Also, maybe training for your due process manager so he will not raise his voice to parents, intimidate and harass them, and especially do not follow parents to the parking lot or to their vehicle. Also, maybe a code of ethics training for Susan Bobbitt, because she has misled you. She confuses me every time I come to the superintendent's council meeting, because she starts naming off dates and saying there was no time for this and there was no time for that. And guess what? There's now a special meeting for CAC. It's just, come on, she's just trying to mislead you. She's not a very effective leader. Thank you.
And one more, Ms. Arevalo.
last one.
Yes.
On future agenda items, and I made these comments at the CAC as well, some of them, I would suggest that you agendize a presentation regarding the sanctions that Chino Valley is facing. They are related to special education, and Chino Valley is a member of this body. And funds from this body will be going towards that effort. So the public certainly wants to see an update on what's going on with the Chino Valley special education programs and the sanctions. The other thing was trainings by the SELBA. I would ask that you agendize a report of the SELBA trainings that have been offered and made available to parents. And I can tell you anecdotally that there are probably very few. Susan reports, I believe it was on a previous agenda, of all the hundreds of trainings that SELBA makes available to the staff of school districts per year. Those trainings are not open to the public. They are for staff only, and parents are not allowed to attend. That is a disservice to the public. You cannot just engage in a practice where you're using public dollars and keep the information to yourselves. That's what the SELBA is doing. On the same vein, regarding trainings, I would urge you to look into the trainings that have been requested by the CAC members in the past. I know for a fact one of the CAC subcommittees, headed by Liz Ritchie of OMSD at the time, agendized a presentation on visual processing disorders several years ago. And here we are in 2016, it was agendized for 2015, and Susan misrepresented to Dr. Hammond when he asked regarding this presentation. She misrepresented that it was a suggestion. It was not a suggestion by the public. Certainly the public supported it, but it was an action item by the CAC committee, and it was stifled. Thank you.
Any other future